Good morning and happy Friday. Normally on Friday, I am with Pat. We have the real estate market and lending update. I thought he was going to be back Monday, but he's staying another week. He is in Wisconsin, or as Pat would say, Wisconsin. And so I kind of racking my brain how I was going to do the Friday afternoon show without Pat, with him being gone, see if he'd notice. I mean, I even made a finger puppet, thought maybe, but the more I looked into it, thought that probably wasn't a good idea. So we're just going to scratch the 3 o'clock and let him have fun in Wisconsin. And today, though, our numbers are 6909 on the market. We're going to hit 7,000 today on Friday. Last week it took till Saturday to hit 7,000 units, so that's going to be interesting. Probably not that interesting, but if you're following the numbers, it's interesting. 7-day moving average, 3,907 came on, 3,673 went under contract. It's a difference of 234. Here's what it looks like. You may recall yesterday I was saying, gee, both indicators were going down. Well, now both of them have come up slightly. So it's still remaining a gap of about 200 homes every 7 days. And the number of homes coming back on market is now 1,666. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today, what that means. Many of you know what that means. Even Pat does. So, if he's not here, we're just going to talk about him. That's just going to be the rules of the game. So it's interesting to see some of the articles that are coming out right now as the numbers change slightly. A lot of the numbers coming out are June data, and here's one of them right here. Don't worry, you didn't miss out on the great home buying frenzy of 2020. It says, we have a question here already from Tobias. Howdy, Rick. What are your thoughts about foreclosure moratorium and mortgage forbearance possibly coming to an end? Do you see inventory increasing? No, very, very slightly, Tobias. The forbearance numbers that we're seeing, the number of people exiting forbearance and hanging on to their houses has been enormous. Many of them have just recrafted their loans. There are certain parts of the country where it's going to be an impact. But the last time I looked at it, if all the homes in Arizona that were in forbearance were to suddenly hit the market, it would put us at what we would call a normal inventory level. And right now, they're exiting their plans this week, and we're not seeing anything. The real number to watch next week is there going to be any impact on the rental moratorium, which the CDC put in place. The Supreme Court said they don't have the authority to do that. And then yesterday, the White House announced that they're going to extend it, which is curious to me how the White House can extend something that the Supreme Court said was not legal. So it's going to be an interesting couple of days. California's extended it to September. I don't know how they can do that either. And I don't know what landlords are going to do. So that number probably going to have more of an impact than the forbearance numbers. But thanks for the question. Don't worry, you didn't miss out on a great home buying frenzy. What they're saying is if you were considering buying a home in the past year and it didn't happen for one reason or another, maybe you couldn't close an appraisal gap, your down payment wasn't quite there and you were outbid, you may be feeling some major FOMO, fear of missing out. A lot of people were trying to buy homes and you just had to get into this absolutely nuts and frenzied market. But housing inventory is rebounding. For prospective first-time home buyers are feeling missed out on the frenzy, there is a silver lining. They also missed out on the incredible competition buyers faced this year, she says. Here are the 3 encouraging signs the market will get a little easier for the first-time home buyers in coming months. Housing inventory is rebounding. That's what we look at every day here. It's rebounding slowly as in the numbers, but pretty high in the percentage. Other buyers are fatigued. A lot of people just said, I'm out. I give up. I don't blame them. Interest rates are still relatively low. Actually, they're lower. From the time from June to now, they're lower. We're going to have to pop in and take a look and see where they're at today. So those are the 3 reasons there. Seesawing pending sales may signal a turning point. Pending sales have been going up, going down, going up, going down, where before pending sales were just up, up, up. And that's leads to an article that says pending home sales drop in June, more evidence of a housing downturn. A lot of stuff going on that indicate that things are slowing. How slow are they? Well, not really that slow. Here's listings under contract. You can see that it has been dropping. If you go back here to week 20, it has been dropping as far as listings actually coming under contract. Now it's coming up slightly. If we look at the listing success rate, this is the one that tells you whether or not people are pricing their homes correctly. Remember I said there's 1,666 homes that had a price reduction? That shows up right here in this number. And the listing success rate, we hit a peak here of 93.3%. That means 93.3% of the homes got their asking price or more. And right now, that's tracking at 91.2, 2% lower. Not a huge number, but if you look at how it's going down, it is trending to where the listing success rate is starting to come down because people are shooting for the moon, as I like to say. They're overpricing. And it's really starting to show up in very small ways in our numbers. It's showing up in the price changes. It's showing up in the listing success rate. It's showing up in the homes that are getting over their asking price. And that chart is starting to look quite a bit different. And here's what the Cromford market says, Cromford report, and it kind of validates some of the things that we have been seeing. And it says that buyers with budgets over $300,000 may be noticing they have more listings to choose from compared to just a few months ago. It's especially true in the price points between $400,000 and $800,000, where inventory has grown 92% since February. Now keep in mind, growing 92% off a really small number is a really small number. So it hasn't leapt. In February, we were probably looking at active listings of about 4,900, and today we're going to have 7,000. So, it's a pretty big leap, but it's still a tiny number when we consider that a balanced market usually has about 20,000 homes out there that you can choose from. So it's a subtle change which peripheralates with more inventory. I can't speak this morning. The buyer experience will become less stressful. So what they're saying is that, we are now starting to see that you don't have to have these crazy appraisal gap languages in your contract. They're asking 400, you offer them 425, and then you save 25,000 off to the side in case it doesn't appraise for 425, so you can make up the gap. Starting to see that you don't have to do that right now. We wrote an offer this week. Guess what, folks? We got an offer accepted under list price with no shortened extension period, no appraisal waiver. Back to normal. Very pleased about that. For sellers, the greater Phoenix housing market continues to shift from an extreme seller market to a less extreme seller market. As prices continue to rise, more sellers are motivated to put their home on the market, and fewer buyers are able or willing to pay the higher price. Here's the kicker. Over the next 5 months, give or take, the market is expected to move into a weaker seller's market, driven in part by dwindling affordability and buyer fatigue. And it says here, there will be more price list reductions. It's important to remember, the sales price is the last thing to respond in a shifting market. In other words, the sales price, what you got for your house, is the last thing that you're going to see shifting. That's going to be a lagging indicator. It's the list price that you're going to see, which is the first thing. And that is when we look at price reductions. The list price is the one that's coming down. That doesn't mean that home prices are falling. It means that expectations are starting to become more real. When a seller overshoots what the market can bear, they will get the silent treatment in the form of zero offers. That triggers a price reduction by the seller. Weekly price reductions have risen 112% since February, from 317 in a week to 672. But what did we see? 1,666. It's more extreme than that. In a weak seller's market, expect between 1,500 and 2,000 price reductions every week. 1,500, we're seeing 1,666. So they're telling us what to expect, and by golly, we're actually seeing it. So that's where the market is. Now, sellers, what does that mean for you? Well, it really means just do a really good, thorough job of figuring out what the value of your home is and price it accordingly. There are still bidding wars going on. So if you price it too low, don't worry, people are going to pull you up. But if you price it too high, you're going to get the silent treatment. People are just going, I'm not even going to look. And because the buyers, right now, we have taught the buyers that the price is the price, and no matter what, people are going to outbid you if you're a buyer. So if they're already looking at a price and they think it's too high, they're still convinced mentally that somebody's going to come in and outbid them and make the situation even worse. So they're not even going to come look at the house, because they're convinced that if they offer you a price lower than that, you're just going to ignore them. That's the way the market is right now. Sellers are feeling like they could price it at any price point they want, and they'll get it. In some cases, in some neighborhoods, we're still seeing that. I saw a house last weekend. It's only been on the market 2 days. He had 6 offers already. Beautiful place. It's still going on. He had an open house. There was one person after another walking through that place. So for sellers, you've really got to do a good job in having that conversation with your agent and playing the what-if game. Because the reality is prices have still gone up. When we look at some of the price increases that we've seen, in April, we went up 4.5% just that month alone. And then in May, we went up 3.2%, and in June, we went up 1%. So the rate of increase went down, but you had 4%, 3%, 1%. You're still 8% higher, right? So go ahead and take a look at what your house, you think your house is worth, or what. Let's say you bought it last year. Just do the math and add that up and try not to exceed it. Because we're up 25% now year to date, 50% over a 2-year period. That's unbelievable. So don't think that if you're up 25%, now you can go ahead and say, well, this trend is going to continue. Let me add another 5% to my list price. That will shoot you in the foot. And that's where you need to really take a close look at the math. Because it is about math. It's not about emotion. Everybody wants the biggest price for their house, but there's nothing worse than sitting there and not seeing foot traffic come through your listing. I have been surprised on a couple ones. I had a listing I was expecting to just blow the doors off. I only had 4 people show up, 3 or 4. But to me, what I'm seeing here and what I felt out in the market was after the 4th of July weekend, things just really tamped down. And is it buyer fatigue, or is it the people finally got to take a vacation, so they did? I think it's a combination of both. Right now, everybody's going back to school here in Arizona, and vacations are dwindling, but buyer traffic hasn't picked up. So we're going to have to continue to watch these numbers on a weekly basis. Until then, I want everybody to have an absolutely super Friday and a great weekend. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.